Before I ever packed a bag, my world felt small and gray. I woke up each morning with a heavy feeling in my chest, a sadness that had no name. My days were all the same, going through the motions of living but not truly alive. I smiled at people, but my heart did not feel the joy. My home, once a place of comfort, started to feel like a cage. I would sit by the window for hours, watching the world go on without me. I knew I needed a change, a big one. The thought of leaving was scary, but staying was even more terrifying. The idea of travel began as a tiny whisper in my mind. It was not about running away from my life, but running towards a new one. I needed to see new places, to feel the sun on my skin in a different country. I needed to get lost in the world to find my way back to myself. The decision to travel was the first real choice I had made for myself in a long time. But with that freedom came a new kind of fear. Where would I go? I spread a large map across my living room floor, its colorful countries and vast oceans stretching out before me. Each name was a promise, a possibility for a different life. I needed more than just a vacation. I needed a purpose for my journey. I chose 3 places, each to teach me something specific. Italy for pleasure, India for devotion, and Bali for balance. Booking the first ticket was a moment of pure terror and absolute liberation. With one click, my abstract dream became a concrete reality. There was no turning back. I was leaving behind the gray, empty life and stepping into the unknown. The fear was still there, but underneath it, a new feeling was starting to grow, hope. For the first time in a long time, I was not just surviving. I was choosing to live. I was ready to embrace the world and find myself again. My plane landed in Rome, and I stepped out into a world of beautiful chaos. The air was warm, and the sounds of ringing bells and chattering voices filled my ears. For so long, my world had been silent and still. Here, life was loud, vibrant, and everywhere. In Italy, I learned the art of dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. I watched people savoring their food, talking with friends, simply enjoying the moment. I decided to try it myself, finding a bench in a garden and just sitting. Slowly, I learned to quiet the noise in my mind. Food became a central part of my healing in Italy. I learned that a simple plate of spaghetti could be a masterpiece. I stopped counting calories and started counting moments of happiness. My body, once heavy with sadness, started to feel nourished and strong. One afternoon, eating a perfect scoop of pistachio gelato, I felt a wave of pure happiness. Italy was not just a place on a map, it was where I started to remember how to love life again. After the sweetness of Italy, arriving in India was a shock to my system. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of life seemed to come at me from every direction. I felt like I had stepped into another world entirely, one that was both overwhelming and strangely magnetic. The streets were a chaotic symphony of car horns and street vendors, a constant swirl of color, movement, and noise. Every sense was heightened, and I felt both lost and alive in the energy of it all. My purpose in India was to find spiritual peace, so I stayed at an ashram. I hoped that within its walls, I might find the calm I was searching for, far from the relentless pace outside. The daily routine was strict and demanding, with hours of silent meditation, early morning wake-ups, and little contact with the outside world. Each day was a test of discipline and patience. My restless mind fought against the stillness. Sitting in silence, I became acutely aware of every anxious thought, every discomfort in my body, every urge to escape. The spiritual work was hard, forcing me to confront the darkness I had been avoiding. Old memories and buried emotions surfaced, demanding to be faced. There was nowhere to hide from myself. The breakthrough came slowly, in tiny increments. Some days felt like progress, others like setbacks. But gradually, I noticed subtle shifts in my heart and mind. One morning during meditation, I stopped struggling and just observed the chaos in my head. I let the thoughts come and go without judgment or resistance, as if I were watching clouds drift by. For a few seconds, there was a gap, a moment of pure silence. In that space, I felt a deep sense of presence, as if I had touched something timeless and infinite. It was the most peaceful feeling I had ever experienced. A gentle joy bubbled up from within, unconnected to anything outside of me. Slowly, I began to find beauty in the chaos of India. The noise and confusion became a backdrop for my own inner transformation, and I started to appreciate the vibrant life all around me. I learned that peace was not about finding a quiet place, but about finding the quiet within myself. Even in the busiest streets, I could return to that stillness I had discovered. India taught me to sit with my pain, to forgive myself, and to find light in the darkness. The lessons were hard-won, but they changed me in ways I never expected. It was the hardest part of my journey, but also the most necessary. I realized that true growth often comes from discomfort, and that facing my fears was the only way forward. I left India feeling raw and exposed, but stronger and more grounded than ever before. The path to inner peace was difficult, but it was the most rewarding journey I have ever taken. Landing in Bali felt like stepping into a dream. After the intensity of India, the island welcomed me with a gentle embrace. The pace of life here was slow and intentional. This was the final piece of my puzzle, the search for balance. I found a small house to rent, surrounded by rice fields. My days fell into a simple, beautiful rhythm. I learned about the Balinese philosophy of Trihita Karana, harmony with God, people, and nature. I met a wise old medicine man who became a gentle guide on my path. He taught me that healing is not about erasing the scars, but about living with them as part of your story. In Bali, I finally felt whole again. I was balanced, present, and grateful. Bali was where all the pieces came together, and I finally found my way back to myself. This journey of healing was not a straight line toward happiness. It was filled with moments of deep fear and crippling doubt. There were nights when I lay awake in unfamiliar beds, feeling a loneliness so profound it physically hurt. The temptation to return to familiar misery was strong. But then, a woman from a nearby shop saw the fear on my face. She smiled, gestured for me to come inside, and gave me a cup of hot chai. Her simple act of kindness broke through my fear. That experience taught me that strength is not about never feeling scared. It is about feeling the fear and moving forward anyway. Each time I faced doubt and pushed through it, I became stronger. I learned to rely on myself, to trust my instincts, and to believe in the kindness of strangers. The journey forced me to confront my deepest fears and discover a resilience within myself. The shadows never disappeared completely, but they lost their power over me. I learned that they were just a part of my story, not the whole thing. Before my journey, food had lost its taste. Eating was just a mechanical act, something I did to survive. But as I traveled, food became one of my most powerful healers. In Italy, a simple slice of margherita pizza in Naples reignited my senses. Each country offered a new lesson in flavor and nourishment. In Italy, I learned about the pleasure of simplicity. In India, my palate exploded with a universe of spices. In Bali, food was about balance and health. Eating fresh, wholesome food helped to heal my relationship with my own body. I started to see food not as an enemy, but as a source of strength and vitality. Sharing a meal with new friends or enjoying a quiet bite alone were steps on my path to recovery. Food reconnected me to the world and reminded me that there is still so much in life to savor. While I set out on this journey to be alone, I was seeking solitude, a chance to find myself away from the noise of everyday life. I discovered that healing is not solitary. It is a shared experience, woven through the connections we make with others. Along the way, I met people who became unexpected guides and friends. They were the lights in my journey, illuminating paths I never knew existed. In Italy, it was the family who owned the small trattoria where I ate dinner every night. Their warmth and hospitality made me feel at home in a foreign land. Their simple, consistent kindness was a lifeline in my early days of travel. It was in their small gestures that I found comfort and stability. In India, I met a fellow traveler at the ashram, a woman from Sweden. We shared stories, dreams, and fears. We became each other's support system, leaning on one another during moments of doubt and uncertainty, proving that a connection can be formed even without a shared past. Our bond was built on mutual respect and understanding. Then there was Ketut, the wise medicine man in Bali. His presence was calming, his words filled with ancient wisdom. His gentle spirit and profound wisdom helped me to put all the pieces of my experience together. He taught me to see the bigger picture. He did not try to fix me. He simply helped me to see that I had the power to heal myself. His guidance was subtle yet transformative. These people taught me that human connection is one of the most powerful medicines. It is through others that we find pieces of ourselves. A smile from a stranger, a shared meal, a moment of genuine connection, a conversation with a new friend. These are the threads that weave the fabric of our healing. These are the things that stitch a broken heart back together. They are the moments that remind us we are not alone. They were the heart of my healing, the essence of my journey, the anchors that kept me grounded on my path. Through them, I found my way back to myself. The day I boarded the plane to go home was filled with a mix of emotions. There was excitement, but also a deep uncertainty about what awaited me. I wondered if the place I once called home would feel familiar, or if I would feel like a stranger in my own life. I was nervous to return to the place where I had been so unhappy. The memories of my struggles lingered, and I questioned whether I was truly ready to face them again. But as I looked out the window at the clouds below, I realized something fundamental had changed within me. The world seemed both vast and welcoming, and I felt a quiet strength growing inside. I was not the same person who had left a year ago. My experiences had shaped me, and I carried new confidence and resilience. The journey had not just shown me the world, it had shown me myself. I had discovered strengths I never knew I had, and learned to embrace my vulnerabilities. When I walked back into my home, it no longer felt like a cage. Instead, it felt like a blank canvas, ready for me to paint a new story. I started to build a new life for myself, one that incorporated the lessons I had learned on the road. I filled my space with reminders of my journey, each one a symbol of growth. I cooked meals with the pleasure I had discovered in Italy, savoring each bite and remembering the laughter and warmth of shared tables abroad. I started a daily meditation practice, finding my own little ashram in a quiet corner of my room. It became a ritual that grounded me, no matter what the day brought. My friends and family noticed the change in me immediately. They saw a lighter spirit, someone more open and at peace with themselves. I still had bad days, of course. There were moments when old doubts crept in, and I felt the weight of my past. Healing is not a cure. It is a continuous process. Some days are easier than others, but each step forward matters. The journey gave me a compass for my own soul. Now I trust myself to find direction, even when the path is unclear. If you feel lost, know that there is hope. Change is possible, and growth can come from the most unexpected places. A journey of healing begins with a single, brave step into the unknown. And with each step, you become more yourself than you ever thought possible.